Was this movie really freaking bad? Hey everybody, it's Marshall Monkey here. This is going to be my Hellboy movie review. This movie just has all kinds of wrong in it. All kinds of wrong. But we're going to talk all about that and get in depth with that in just a minute. I'm not excited to talk about it. I think it's going to be negative for comic book films, right? Especially when that and Shazam and Endgame are all so close together. At least two of them were good out of the three that were released recently. All right, but before we get into that review, don't forget to go to the link down below and follow my Twitter. We do updates on when videos are coming or just fun tweets, talk about comic book stuff, TV comic book stuff, movie stuff, Marvel, DC, even, of course, things that aren't necessarily Marvel and DC, so don't forget to follow that down below. But as for Hellboy, so I don't really think we needed another Hellboy movie, not gonna lie, but I was excited to dive into the character once more. I think that, David Harbour was a really good casting choice. Neil Marshall, who directed this, who directed Game of Thrones episodes, I was excited to see his directorial debut, so I was excited for it. However, the movie just has so many problems. It's too faithful to the comics, first of all, right? It's too faithful. It doesn't work, right? Of when they do try to kind of tell it like it is, right, from the comics. I think that if you're going to do something faithful to the comics, you have to elevate the source material, like Aquaman, right? That's a good example of a movie that did that recently. And that's just something you have to do in order to make it work. And it didn't do that, which is kind of unfortunate. Also, there are moments in this film where I feel like I kind of get lost in the behind-the-scenes drama. For those who don't know, there was a lot of behind-the-scenes trouble for the production team. Of course, Neil Marshall, if you've read up on the news, Neil Marshall was involved with an actress that, of course, slept with Kevin Tsuchihara, the CEO of Warner Brothers, for movie roles, right? And Neil Marshall kind of got himself stuck into that and kind of went off with her while he was supposed to be working on the film. So that was a huge part of the production disaster. But it was also just a lot of rewrites, a lot of reshoots, last-minute ones that took up too much time. They had to put stuff in. It was crazy, right? And you could totally see that through the film. It's totally transparent. And that really messes with not only the actors as performers, but also as the script as a whole and looking at it from a business perspective. It's a really bad idea. There were moments where I thought that the movie just went totally lopsided, and you could tell through the actors, right, and how none of them really wanted to be there. I think David Harbour wanted to be there, and he made the best of it. David Harbour's performance as Hellboy was really, really, it was great, but it was, it could have been so much better with a really good script, but he was the best part of the film, and I actually wouldn't mind seeing him in a streaming service, and a streaming show for the character at all. As for Sasha Lane's Alice, I wasn't really digging this character at all. I thought she was kind of cool in the beginning, right? But of course, at the towards the end of the movie, I thought she was kind of bothersome, right, and kind of in the way. But for Sasha Lane, I enjoyed her performance overall. Again, so streaming service, right? I would love to see her come back in a streaming show. But I think towards the end of the movie, she kind of seemed a little bored, right? A little tired of playing the character, a little lazy performance, not intentionally, but lazy as being again, so many reshoots, totally having to rewrite a lot of stuff in the script. She just kind of seemed over it, right, at parts, right? But again, if there was a streaming show for the movie, I would watch her again, right, if she came back. And I think that, I don't think this movie's going to do anything for her career, but I'd love to see what else she's in and kind of get more acquainted with her as an actress, because I think that this movie didn't really do her any justice. Maybe, again, anything on television I would watch her in. I don't know about film, though. But she, for the most part, was a good performance. But I also think that she was kind of, underpowered, right? Wouldn't it be cool if she could do something more? It was just kind of seemed lame to me, right? A little bit. Just a tad. Also, towards the third act as well, she just didn't really have much to do in terms of, other characters, which we'll talk about when we get to the spoiler half. But yeah, it was kind of lame. A little bit. Just a little bit. As for Ian McShane as Professor Broom, I thought he was pretty okay. There's a twist that we'll talk about towards the end, but I wasn't digging his character that much, right? And as for that twist, that I was talking about for his character, it just comes off as gross, which again we'll talk about when we get to the spoiler half, because it's again all spoilers. And also, Daniel Day Kim had some okay moments, and also Mila Jovovich was a pretty weird choice, but still okay, right? Again, okay moments. They both just seemed like they were too generic, as characters, and I didn't like that. But let's get into some spoilers for the movie. There is some good stuff that we have to talk about, but again, it's in the spoiler half, so you have been warned. So even though this movie has a lot of issues that I didn't like, I actually liked some parts of the film quite a bit. Like, for example, the Giants fight scene with Hellboy in the forest. I thought that was really well done. And I also really liked the Baba Yaga scene. Baba Yaga is quite possibly one of the most frightening things I've seen in a comic book film, right? I mean, this movie earned that R rating. It was really well done. I mean, that was really creepy, right? When she had like all the children hanging there, you got to see all their body parts, right? That was crazy. I was like, move over, Pennywise. There's a new kid killer in town, and it's Baba Yaga, right? So that scene was really well done in terms of the R rating. That's what this movie did really well with, was that rating, and it earned it, right? But as for Mila Jovovich's character, the third act kind of fell short. I thought that it was a really bad third act. I thought there wasn't really a lot of substance there, even with Hellboy's father's death, right? But I did love when Hellboy has the vision, right? I think it was with Excalibur, right? Where he sees himself in the underworld on that flaming dragon, kind of destroying everything, right? I was like, where's that movie? I want to see more of that. Because this movie is very small in terms of how it takes itself as a blockbuster film. And that's another problem that the movie had most of the time, right? It was like, I don't know. And then also what I didn't like about the movie is that the twist with Alice, and especially with, again, Hellboy's father, right? I thought that was really weird how she could kind of create, like, images of dead people, right, from the dead, like with her like throat. I don't know what was going on with that. I was like, it's kind of cheap, right? I'm like, nah, you can't really do that, right? With the death, I thought maybe casting a spell to bring him back or something would have been a lot cooler, because that was like cheap. It didn't really work with what was going on. It was weird that that she could do that. I just wasn't digging it. Maybe that's a comic book thing, but I don't know. And overall, again, the third act just fell too short. It didn't really work with what was going on. And it didn't complement the beginning of the film either, because the beginning was just too rushed for me. I thought that, overall, both the beginning and the end of the film were the worst parts. And the middle was, like, pretty good, especially the Baba Yaga stuff. And again, pretty much all the Hellboy fight scenes that were just him going solo, right? Which is why I would have watched a streaming show of it instead. But what do you guys think of this movie? Did you guys like Hellboy, or did you not like it? Would you like to see a streaming show version? And how do you think it compares to the rest of the Hellboy movies that Guillermo del Toro did, and that Ron Perlman starred in? Would you like to see more of them come back, right? Like, in something small, like a special Hellboy feature or something like that? Or are you wanting to see more of David Harbour? Don't forget to comment down below, like and favorite this video, and I will see you guys later for some more videos. Bye-bye.